And I know the special needs community is really hurting right now, especially in Southern California. We're really hurting, and we need to get our schools back open full-time, no hybrid, none of this online stuff. Our kids want to go back to school. Our special needs kids need their services.
What's going on, guys? Drew Hernandez here with Lives Matter. I'm here in Sacramento, California at the state capitol for the Liberty Fest Freedom Rally. We're going to talk to a few Patriots and see what's on their mind. But first, our YouTube channel is extremely deboosted if you haven't noticed by now. And if you'd like to support my work, the donate links are in the description below. Thank you, guys. Let's see what happens. What's going on, guys? I'm here with Elijah Schaefer. Slightly offensive.
Well, I'm going to talk to you as a citizen of this great state, or once great state. You know, I think people are pissed because right now we are protesting the facts. I call them alternative facts from the CDC and the World Health Organization, who just this week went back on some of the biggest foundational reasons of why we shut down our state in the first place. Number one, they said, oh, by the way, coronaviruses are not exactly that contagious by touching surfaces. Really? I don't know. Maybe people were saying that, but they got deleted because tech companies were working hand in hand with the government to shut down free speech. And then on top of that, we're talking about Governor Gavin Newsom, who's Nancy Pelosi's nephew, and still getting haircuts, by the way, because his haircuts are essential. We're finding out right now that he is absolutely caving to the pressure. The more protests we're having, the quicker California's opening back up. So we are here to continue to show him that it's not going fast enough.
Gotcha. Elijah, don't you find it interesting in light of big tech censorship? You're someone that knows completely a lot about that, right? Don't you find it interesting, and I want your opinion on this, that there are credible doctors and nurses that are taking to social media and they're being literally swiped off the internet? These are everyday professional people. What's your message to people seeing that, and should we be concerned about something like that?
Yeah, you know, I've said it before that science is not a consensus. There is no such thing as, technically, as absolute fact, because most of what we call facts are theories, which are credible evidence based off of either experimentation or through observable evidence, etc. But right now, we've never done a mass quarantine like this around the world. We've never done a mass quarantine to this scale in our country. They even say, oh, this is a novel coronavirus. So we don't really have a lot of credible theories about this virus or about this quarantine, which would mean that we need to initiate and we need to call upon the entire scientific community, from medical practitioners to researchers to educators to writers to even epidemiologists, philosophers, social scientists, and even the general public to get the observations to do the studies. Yet what we're finding is that we're being restricted to two organizations, the CDC and the World Health Organization. One major doctor, Dr. Fauci, who hasn't practiced for many years actually, and we come into the position where we go, okay, my background's in science, so is theirs. Why is our background in science different than yours? We went to credible U.S. institutions. We went and we studied in the same schools and the same textbooks you did. We use the same papers in our research. In fact, English is even the language of science. And so we even speak our first language, the credible language. But yet we use our theory and understanding to have a debate and a dialogue over something, but we're not credible to talk about this? What about her? She's a doctor of nursing. What about me? My background's in genetics and molecular biology. What about that doctor or that researcher? Oh, we're not credible? Why? Because some organization that's not only just partly funded, not even now, by America, said that, oh, we're not credible. YouTube says our videos that disagree with the World Health Organization, they'll be taken off. Americans' rights and free speech and what have made our country great is that we're not like China. Our government doesn't pay off an organization to shut us up. But right now, we're not only just under control of China, our governor is under control of China, actually Governor Newsom. And, you know, science doesn't matter to them anymore. It's like, we're going to save lives, but we give $80 million to Planned Parenthood to kill more children. It's not only backwards, it's just the last days, to be honest. It's like we get into the point where you see what happens when these people have taken over the institutions in our country, right? It's happened in many nations before. It's happening here. It's called the fall of the West, man. It's the fall of the West. And that's what you're seeing. We're a nation divided. We have no common culture. We have no common language. Everyone's divided by skin color, by sexual orientation. There's no understanding of a shared common value. The family doesn't matter. What are we? We're not a united state. We're a divided state. And when you're divided, people can take power over you and inflict fear. But hey, I think a lot of people are getting woke over this. I think people are seeing the truth. I think they're starting to wake up. But if only they can actually find the information before it disappears.
I am personally here, drove 6.5 hours from the Temecula area to be here because I think Newsom has completely overstepped the boundaries. If coronavirus was so serious, the whole state would be on the same level of lockdown. The entire country would be on the same level of lockdown. I no longer think this is about our health, a virus. This is all a political game. I don't like how the numbers are fluctuating incorrectly. A lot of people are starting to ask questions, and I believe that's why a lot of people are here today. They're fed up. They do their own research, and they see that everything that comes out of the media's mouth is a lie. So I think a lot of people just want their freedom back.
Gotcha. There are so many civil liberties being violated right now, right? But you personally, what concerns you the most right now?
My main concern is my son. He is 7 years old, and he is autistic. And since his school shut down in March, he has not been receiving his services. He has not had his occupational therapy. He has not had his speech therapy, and he has done a complete 180 socially. And we worked very hard to get him to become social. I'm going to tear up. And now I actually took him to Walmart the other day for the first time in 2 months. He's left the house, and he clinged to me, and he had a massive meltdown. So he has regressed. My son is my number one concern. Along with all the kids. And I know the special needs community is really hurting right now, especially in Southern California. We're really hurting, and we need to get our schools back open full-time, no hybrid, none of this online stuff. Our kids want to go back to school. Our special needs kids need their services.
Wow, that's huge, you guys. That's absolutely essential. Lastly, you're a mom, right? What would your message be to moms that are just like at home in fear, criticizing you for being out, and just watching CNN religiously, just listening to Anderson Cooper and everything he has to say? What would your message be to the moms in America that are stuck in fear like that?
My message to my fellow moms, and I cannot stress this enough, turn off the TV, put yourself in your closet if you have to, get yourself an hour and do your own research. Look up your county numbers. Look at what the CDC is saying. Go to your county board of supervisors. I've done that myself in Riverside County. Keep up to date with your numbers. See what's going on in the testing facilities. How much are they testing? You got to keep current, and you have to do it for yourself, because watching CNN, watching MSNBC, you're not going to see the truth. You have to take the time, you have to put in the work and do your own research and come to your own conclusion.
Absolutely. Last question.
Sure.
If you could communicate something to the president, what would it be?
Where we go one, we go all.
I'm a registered nurse, and I am here for fully opening California. Fully opening California.
Gotcha. So as an RN, I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot firsthand, right? What are some things that you've seen that kind of really concern you?
Sure. So I've been an RN in Sacramento for 17 years. I worked, and my background's pediatric intensive care. I worked in hospital systems here for about 10 years, and it's one of the most corrupt systems there is on the planet. I had to leave. So I do home care now, but I'm not working because I have no one to take care of my kids, because they have no school and they have no summer camp, and their swim team has been canceled, and all of their friends, a lot of them are at home and afraid, and they have nowhere to go, so I'm at home taking care of them right now.
Wow, so in the medical field, there's all kinds of stuff going out and floating around right now. You got, RNs and nurses making TikTok videos, twerking and staged coordinated dancing. It's like really weird. What's your view on that? I really want to know from an RN, like, how do you perceive that stuff?
Sure. I think medical professionals are divided. I think the brainwashing is really powerful within the medical system. It comes down from the very top. The physicians believe what they're told and what they're taught, and the nurses do as well. It's applicable to vaccines too. People believe in what they're told, and in the medical system, it's strong. So there's a palpable divide, I feel, where you've got healthcare professionals and nurses that are standing up and standing out and saying this is not okay, what's going on in these hospitals is not okay, what's going on this planet is not okay. And then there's, like I said, a divide where you've got nurses that are, full-fledged into the into the storyline.
I just want to give you my view personally.
Yeah.
Would you say, and let me know if you think this is accurate, right? Would you say that RNs and nurses are actually being exploited by the media? Because obviously the coronavirus is not as bad as they're painting it to be everywhere, right? In some geographical locations like New York, it's bad, right?
Sure, right, yes.
But it seems like the media is pinpointing those people in that region, and they're in my opinion, they're exploiting nurses and painting it as the whole, right? So would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, I absolutely would say that that's accurate, yes, because there's the majority of hospitals, healthcare workers are being laid off right and left. I've talked to 3 surgeons out here today that haven't worked in months. I mean, this making the room for this surge that was supposed to happen in most of America has left thousands of healthcare professionals out of work, out of hours and out of jobs. So yes, absolutely, I agree with what you're saying with the exploitation of the nurses in the hotspots and the few hospitals that are seeing the surges. But even from those hotspots, you've got nurses and physicians that are trying to come out that are being censored, they're being threatened with their jobs.
What would you say right now as an American, right? There are so many civil liberties being violated right now. What would you say concerns you the most right now?
I think our children, I'm scared for our children.
For their future?
Yeah, for their future. I mean, kids are getting more and more depressed and anxious every day, sitting at home, losing their communities, not being able to commune at school and summer camps. The generations are going to be devastated by this forever to come.
Last question. If there's anything you could communicate to the president, what would it be?
Help. Help. We're drowning. People are drowning. So help us, because this guy is not going to do it. Yeah.
This is real, folks. This is not staged. This isn't acting. This is real life. People's lives are being affected. This is why we want to open up the country, because moms and their children are being affected and their futures are uncertain. This is why we want to open up the country. This is real. We're not exploiting this. This is what's going on here in California. So guys, please be respectful of these things.
This is the most fabulous gathering of every walk of life you will never see again. I have my own beliefs. They're very different than most of the people out here. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you vote for unicorns. Everybody from every walk of life is out here, and it doesn't matter what we believe in or how we vote, because nothing else matters right now. And if you're here and you're saying it's not okay, that's all that matters.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. God bless you. Love you. How has this whole coronavirus hysteria affected you personally? Your family, your work? How has this affected you personally?
Well, personally for me, I've been blessed enough to be able to work, but I am a recovering addict and an recovering alcoholic, and I haven't been to a meeting since this whole thing started, and it's been really tough. I've had days where I've sat in front of the liquor aisle at the store and debated whether or not I should just go ahead and do it because nothing matters. But I stayed strong. But for me, it's mostly the mental thing and watching other people that I know who can't work that suffer because they don't have work and they can't feed their families. And, that's the most heartbreaking thing, I think.
If there's anyone in that community that's struggling right now with kind of like those struggles, right? What would you say to them right now?
Just call your sponsors, make sure that you are staying in touch with people that love you. Try to go to the Zoom AA meetings. I know we're sick of Zoom meetings, but try and do that. And just don't lose hope, because we're going to fight and we're going to open up again and we're going to make it happen. But don't lose hope. You've gotten this far. You can still do it. You can do it.
We have this naughty Nancy's nasty nephew here, Look, they even have to have snipers up there. What the hell is that? Yeah. This is the land I came from. This is my home. And I never in my lifetime thought I would see this. But I have to say one thing. It did bring good into California, because California is no longer blue. We are now purple, with one stroke away from red. And when I see this around here, do you know how much good it does my heart to see that we're finally waking up and taking California back from these people that have ruined it. This is my destiny. I'm going to cry here. That's how intense it is to me. And I don't want to give it up to some naughty nephew that doesn't deserve his seat. And I warned people when they were when he was in the election. because I've been following San Francisco politics for 30 years now. I remember when he was in the DA's office. I remember when in 2008 when he ran against Willie Brown and his platform was homelessness and affordable housing. Look what they did. Look at San Francisco. $3,000 a month for a dilapidated bachelor pad. What is that? And now they're coming here to Sacramento and trying to do it here. Okay? I remember when they ripped off Treasure Island. That was my zen place. That was my most favorite place in the world to go and just like, because I was homeless in San Francisco. I did. I'm a veteran, 100% disabled veteran, and I had to do time in a facility for well, it wasn't a facility, but anyhow. So I have a deep passion for that area and for, right fighter, speaking up. I think that's the military girl in me. But anyhow, to have him do what he did just kills me. Ruining Treasure Island. There it sits, all ripped up. Have you seen it? It's all ripped up. What is that?
What would you say to people at home that are like on the fence, that are seeing like they may be Democrats, they may be on the left, but now they're seeing this and they're just kind of like, what is going on here with this government overreach? They're not quite waking up to the reality that, hey, the left has gone insane, but they're starting to notice things. What would you say to that person that's like literally on the fence right now, that's kind of waking up to the reality that something's amiss in the Democrat Party, but they're still sitting on the fence at home? What would be your message to that person?
What's interesting is I see that a lot on social media. I'm on Facebook all the time. And what I'm seeing is these people that aren't sure, and it's because they're scared. They don't know what to think. They heard all these terrible things that the media put out there about our president, when in fact he's quite the opposite. Like I said, I'm a veteran. I've benefited greatly. My insurance, I don't have to go to the VA anymore. That was unheard of. But anyhow, to those people, what I always tell people is do your research. Read. When you see a Facebook post that gets your attention, look at the date. Most of them are from 2 years ago. Hello. So personally, what I do is I will put information out there. I repost all the time, but what I put out is information that's can debunk some of the stuff that's out there. Or, everyone knows me as I tell it like it is, no filter. I just say what I think. But it's all good because you know what? You're listening to me. America's going to listen to me and these people. And we need to stand up. We need to join together. There should be no line of demarcation. This is nonpartisan issue here. This is not about who loves Trump or who doesn't. It's not a popularity contest. It's not. It's about who's going to be a doer and who's going to be a sayer. And that's all I got to say about that.
Gotcha. Last question. If you could say anything to the president, what would it be right now?
Save California! Please. It's my home.
Well, I'm here because I believe in our freedom and our rights, and I believe our rights have been stripped away by the government, and I'm not for that. So I'm here today to reopen California.
Gotcha. Kenzie, there have been so many civil liberties being threatened right now. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, so many. What would you say concerns you the most about your civil liberties being threatened right now, if you could pick one?
I don't like that we're not having the freedom of expression, the freedom
and speech.
of speech. Yeah, exactly. To be here right now, we're obviously defying the government, I guess, which we shouldn't be, because this is our First Amendment right to be here to protest. But, they're not for that, so...
Gotcha. Your generation, right? Because there's all kinds of young people that are freaking out right now. Even though the virus only affects those that are 80 and up and those with pre-existing conditions, what would you say to those at home that are just watching, like, you're such an idiot for being out there, like, what are you doing without a mask on, even though the CDC told us that masks are useless? What would you say to them?
I would say that don't trust the government, don't trust these organizations that are telling you things. Do your own research. Go out at your own risk, I guess, even though it's not a risk. Just live your life. Stop being controlled.
If there's anything that you'd like to communicate to the president and the administration, what would it be?
I would just like to thank Trump for his speech yesterday about churches being essential, because I believe as a Christian, we should not be fearing a virus. God is bigger than a virus. So I believe it's so important that churches reopen, and I really appreciate that Trump mentioned that the other day.
Ooh, gotcha. Let me hit on that, okay?
Okay.
Let's talk about that. So churches being essential, what does that mean to you?
Churches being an essential, not really business, but an essential place to be, a place to worship. Like, if we're allowed to go into Target when there are so many people there and we're all close, we're not social distancing, why can't we go to church to worship our God for those of us who believe in him? It just doesn't add up to me.
What made you support Donald Trump as a Hispanic American?
Well, he stands up for conservative values, for Christian values, and let me let you know that I was a Democrat, and in 2016 when I seen the president running, I started looking into it, and I started saying, well, wait a minute, who is he running against? Hillary. I looked at her stuff, and the more research I started doing on Hillary, on Clinton's in general, I was like, wait a minute, I don't stand up for that. Hillary Clinton, and not too many people know this, Hillary Clinton defended a sex offender, in court before she was off,
And laughed about it.
Before she got all political. But in her younger days, and I was like, wait a minute, I have children, I have a daughter, no, forget it. I looked into the President Trump, I started seeing, you know what, he wants to make a change. And I've always agreed with legal immigration. I'm from a farm community called Salinas, California. We produce they call it the salad bowl of the world. We produce a lot of lettuce down there. My grandfather came from Morelia, Michoacan, the right legal way, and worked those fields, worked his ass off, man. That's why it upsets me so much, because he worked those fields, did everything the legal way, and I would see him when he would get off for work. And it's like all these people just want to cross the border. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to pay their fine. They don't want to get a background check. My grandfather had to do the due process, and it's like, wait a minute. Why do you guys think you guys can come in and not do anything, not talk to anybody about it?
What would your message be, bro, to Hispanics that are just being told religiously every day on CNN, Telemundo, and Univision that Trump is a racist and Republicans are racists? What would your message be to those people right now that are watching at home?
Well, I think for my community, Latino community, primarily is just you have to look at your values. Mexicans in general, we've always had family values, we've always had church values, Christian values, and you have to look at that. Take a step aside, and it's not about red or blue. Just look at your values and what you believe in. Are you for abortion? Or are you for not abortion? And take a step back and analyze all that and ask yourself those same questions and see who's out there fighting for your rights. The president is trying to protect us. He's trying to fight for us. And you have, Planned Parenthood, which is California's assembly. I'm not sure if you guys seen the assembly in California. They were posting on their doors Planned Parenthood posters, and that's disgusting. Planned Parenthood kills millions of babies, and that's what's sad. So I would say to the community, look at what you stand up for, look at your values, and see who do you align yourself with.
If there's anything you'd like to communicate to the president and the administration, what would it be?
Mr. Trump, I would like to thank you and your administration for doing everything that you do for us every single day. It's not an easy job. You can be out there resting, retired and on your golf course, but you're taking a stand for America. And that's why, as a Latino especially, because I look at it, if my president can take hits, and he's been taking major hits from the mainstream media, then me standing up for him and me showing my support is nothing. It's a grain of salt compared to what the president has done. So, Mr. President, thank you, and let's make America great again.
My family has been kind of active politically for the last year. This is my 6th trip to this Capitol building. I've been inside the building in many hearings when they were coming against charter schools and trying to force mandatory vaccinations. I came to speak out against that. So many of us saw something like this coming. We didn't realize how fast it would happen, and we didn't realize how fast the public would comply. But it's not very surprising.
Gotcha. What would you say, so many civil liberties being threatened, what would you say concerns you the most right now, if you could pick anything?
What concerns me the most is the censorship of information. So, for instance, with the governor's emergency order, it is written that order should last, it should be ended at the earliest possible time, as soon as it's deemed that the threat is no longer imminent. As soon as the governor sees that local municipalities can handle the situation, he should have ended that order, or 60 days, right? So we're way past the 60 days. But the thing is, that information doesn't get out. I wonder how many people know that. I wonder how many people know that the emergency order actually had an expiration date. They don't know that because information is suppressed, and censored. And how can a people learn and grow and climb higher if they can't share information openly? How can doctors say, hey, I'm having success with this patient over here? They come out and say, I'm having success. None of my patients are dying. And those doctors are censored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we should be sharing information so we as a people can thrive and overcome this situation.
And that's on record, documented. You have doctors, you have nurses that are coming out that are professionals.
On the ground.
They're not YouTubers. They're just coming out and using social media to just lay out some numbers that the CDC won't lay out or that the WHO won't lay out, and they're being censored and they're being wiped off the internet as if they don't exist. How does that make you feel when you see stuff like that?
I mean, again, it's not surprising to me because, like I said, honestly, that's kind of the way things are handled even inside that building, and it's really kind of shameful. I've seen a person go up and give testimony and straight up lie about someone, and then the other person comes behind him and says, no, they'll correct the lie, and then a legislator will lie again. So honestly, it's always been like that. Whoever's the loudest, whatever message is the loudest is the one that goes out, and a lot of people don't care about being honest and having integrity. And so honestly, it's disturbing, but it's human nature, and so I don't know how we deal with that. Like, again, I'm not surprised by it. Some people wouldn't believe that politicians could lie or that the news will lie to you. I've seen it.
I think that's where the problem starts.
Yeah. The general public are good people. They're honest people. And they can't understand, like, well, I don't lie. Really? Everyone's lying to me? That doesn't sound right. I don't.
So in light of that, right, what would be your message? Because there are so many people at home right now that may not even subscribe to any political party. They're just watching this and they're saying there's something terribly wrong going on right now, Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter. They're just kind of sitting on the fence watching this and they know something's wrong. What would be your message or your advice to people that are feeling that way right now?
My message is you are capable of taking in the whole cluster F of this situation and discerning logic from fiction. That feeling of something's wrong, go with that feeling. You don't have to point fingers. We don't have to find out who's the bad guy. We don't have to, but keep asking questions. Do your due diligence. You are responsible for your health. You're responsible for your family, There's no hero coming to save you. I know this rally may feel good, like, but we all have to go home and figure out how to pay our bills and how to maintain our health. So I hope that people leave after this pandemic, whatever happens, I hope people take personal responsibility going forward, and stop just taking the word of authorities, appealing to authority to run your life. That's just it's not good, You need to keep asking questions. If you think something's off, it's because something is off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speak it out.
I'm Hispanic and I love pouring into my communities, especially those that are on the left and that are like anti-Trump and anti-American. I love pouring into them, and I think it's important that we pour into our communities, right? Whether they're white, black, brown, it's there's something special with that, right? What would your message be to people that are folks that are on the left that hate Trump, that think he's a racist, and that think every Republican or every patriot is a racist? What would your message be to those communities?
I'd say those messages are perpetuated to be divisive, okay? It's not that racism doesn't exist. It's not that bigotry and prejudice doesn't exist. I have been prejudiced against other people. I have given myself over to fear of somebody else because they're different than me. And then I matured. So there comes a point where everyone has to put away childish things. And being afraid of someone just by how they look or making assumptions about people is an immature thing to do. And so we all need to kind of rise up, be mature, be an adult, do adult things, have hard conversations, reach out to people you're afraid of, and you're going to realize they're not really different from you. Do I think Trump's racist? No, I don't. Do I think he may have been bigoted or prejudiced at one point, or he could be tomorrow, say something off? Yeah, we all do. We all say stupid stuff from time to time. We all have wild ideas from time to time. But that's being a human being, So no, I don't think he's racist. I don't think all Republicans are racist, and I don't think all Democrats are for minorities. You know what I'm saying? People are people. So again, don't get stuck in a box that people want to put you in because they're putting you there to control you. You know what I mean? You got to think outside the box and you got to question things. I'm friends with all kinds of people. I'm not, you can't label me and keep me in a box and keep me from a certain group of people just by telling me, oh, they hate you. That makes me more curious,
Because you're being told what to believe and how to perceive things. You know, Joe Biden did an interview with Charlemagne the God the other day, and at the end of the interview, he was literally like asking him some personal questions. And then Joe Biden came out and literally said, if you can't decide whether you want to choose between me or Trump, then you ain't black. Like, it's just like pushing people into echo chambers. And it's like, if you can't make your own decision, then you're not black? Like, what in the world?
A white man telling a bunch of people they're not black.
How do you...
That was comical, and I hope a lot of clever people make a skit about that one. First of all, let me just say, God bless Joe Biden. I think he's in mid-stages of dementia, and I'm not trying to be funny about that.
No, yeah, I believe so.
So I think the people that care about him, it's up to his family to honor him by covering him and not putting him out like that. That's not okay for him to still be out there like that. You know, when my mother-in-law suffered from dementia, I'm being very serious right now. You know, my family took responsibility and we covered her. You know what I'm saying? You don't put your family out there like that. Yeah. Besides the fact that he also has some issues with boundaries with females and children that people want to forget about. And they joke, creepy Joe, you know, we all have that creepy uncle. You know what? Again, maturity says that's not funny. You know what I'm saying? You got to protect children. You got to protect the vulnerable. And you don't keep, all these politicians that let their kids go around him and be groped by him. Shame on them. I've only seen one politician smack his hand away. I did see one man smack Joe Biden's hand off his kid one time, you know? But the rest of us think, oh, it's funny. No, yeah, that's not funny. You know what I'm saying? So moving on from that, yes, you are black if you support Trump. Nobody needed to tell you that. And yeah, again, that's just, pushing a narrative and trying to divide people. And, you know, many people will fall for that because we've all been conditioned to choose sides, you know? Think about that in school, you know, you have a team, the winners and the losers, all through life, you know? You're taught to choose sides and you're kind of conditioned to think like that, black and white. But life is not black and white. It's not, so.
Absolutely. Lastly, if there's any message that you'd like to communicate to the president and the administration, what would that be? It could be anything.
Thank you, President Trump, for the work you're doing. You know, your press conferences are hilarious, and it's a glitch in the matrix, you know, watching him tell people, you know, they asked him what he thought of Pelosi, and he says, I don't waste my time on her. I love it. I love that he's off the cuff sometimes. I'm sure he has advisors, but I also like that he speaks freely because he's setting an example for people. Your voice is one of the most important things you have, your uncensored voice. Again, even if you speak out of turn, even if you don't have all the information, you say something kind of off, that's human. You can be forgiven. When you get more information, then you speak from that place. Do you know what I'm saying? So my message is, don't worry about saying the perfect thing. Don't worry about knowing exactly how, you know, just speak. Just be free. Just be free. Keep digging. Keep learning. Keep growing. Be free. Be free of all things. Be free.
Gotcha.
That's my message. Trump and all of us, be free.